Hi, Julie Torrance here. So I am going to be working on Amazon Basics watercolor paper. It says book, but it's a tablet, and you get 30 sheets. It's less than $15, and it's 140 pound. It's a cellulose paper. It's not 100% cotton, but I really like it. I like the results. So I'm working on a request from a viewer. I'm going to be using these paints. These are from Superior, and it comes in this fan shape. I still see these. They made it in a lot of different shapes, and you will also see other names other than Superior, but I think all the fans are Superior. And I'm basing that on other artists' reviews and checks of the whole thing. I like this set because, frankly, I think it works as well as professional. And this particular set, it reminds me more of all warm colors. So the request was, Julie, I want to watch you do watercolor all day long. I was like, well, I have a hide-a-bed if you're going to stay. So what I thought we would watercolor is some mushrooms. Now, yes, this is going to turn into a digital. And I've got digitals that are out there from PM Artist Studio. So I'll be doing a video soon where I'll show you the newest digital out there, but you can go to pmartiststudio.com and it's there. And I'll link it to the, I'll link it in the bottom. But let's get started on these mushrooms. So the way I draw a mushroom, or paint a mushroom, but I start out with drawing. And this is a watercolor pencil, so it'll dissolve as I work. I start out with an oval, just like that. Then I put a line in it towards the top, more towards the top, maybe a third of the way down, just a little line. From there is where I'm going to put the stem. So let's bring a stem out. And then I create the top. And I'm making these kind of a cone shape. So there's the basic shape. Now I'm going to put another one. I don't want to make it so a person couldn't cut around, but I'll make this one just a little bit smaller, a lot smaller, but it's the same thing. Little line, little stem, and then another kind of a cone shaped top. And let's get one more in here. I like threes. You'll hear a lot of artists say that they like things that are uneven numbered. And there we have it. Now, I draw the lines in, but it's kind of a guide. And so the way that I draw these lines in, and I'm trying to go kind of in a circular fashion around the stem, just like this. And I can really understand why seeing this over just hearing about it makes a difference. Same with these. And my lines are tilting in the direction of the oval, like that. Here's the last one. Now, do they always turn out the same? No. But I think mushrooms, like snowflakes, like so many other things, they are different, you know, from one to another. All right. I've got this because if you notice, this set doesn't really have, and I don't even know if you can see it, this set doesn't really have a mixing space. So what I could do, I've got some watercolor paper here. This is what I had to cut off because the papers are like 11 by 14, I think, and I need them to be 8.5 by 11. So I'll just put there, and that way hopefully you can at least see the paint a little bit, I hope. See if I can bring this down even a little more. All right, you may not see all the paints, but you'll get the drift. All right, I'm going to start out with my round brush, and this is a number 5 Royal and Langnickel. That's not my favorite though. I like this one better. This one is a Grumbacher, and it's another round, and I think it's a little smaller. So, I don't know, maybe a 4. And I'm going to start out with a lighter, but a mushroomy color. So I'm going in, and these paints don't have names, but it's just kind of a beigey tan or a khaki color. And I'm going to add to it some white. Now this is a mixing white. See the white? That's a mixing white, which means if you paint with it on its own, you probably won't get much, but it's good for lightening up paints or making more of a, maybe a pastel kind of a color. All right, I think you can see, and I'm going to get started. Now, going to have this be pretty wet, pretty washy. And I'm just going to fill in the whole mushroom. And I'm not worried about going exactly on the lines. Not at all. But this kind of reminds me of kind of a mushroomy color. And I can still see the lines. Now you may not be able to, but you'll be, if you do it in this kind of a way with a watercolor pencil, you'll see it longer in person than I can see it, or that anyone can see it on a video. And yes, my paint's getting waterier. That's all right, because I really want this to just be kind of a wash. I'm going to go ahead and get these other stems done. So how are you? Today is July the 3rd. That is the day before our U.S. Independence Day. A lot of people out of town, a lot of people at their cottages, boating, you name it. Right here, where I live, we've had rain. And I feel bad for people that maybe, because we've had like no rain. Now we're having rain when everyone wants to have a barbecue or a picnic, but unfortunately, that's the way it goes sometimes. Okay, so I've pretty much filled them in. Well, I see I missed one spot. I'm going to just add a little more color. And yes, this one's a little darker, but that's all right. Now I've got a basic color on. Now I'm going to head into trying to make these so you can see. I'm going to head into, this is kind of like a, almost like a burgundy color. I'll show you here. See, it's kind of like a purpley burgundy color. And to this, I'm going to add a little bit of a more brown, not quite beigey, but more of a brown. And I am just going to dot this right along this side. On all of them. I am not going down to the under part. This is just the top of the mushroom. If it has a specific name, I don't know what it is. Kind of its crown. And then I don't want that harsh line, so I'm just coming in with plain water, and I'm just gonna kind of blur it all the way across. Like that. And I'm going to do that on all three. And how I control the water, that just takes practice. Not only practice watercoloring in general, but practice with individual paints, because individual paints, individual papers, they all react different. All right, now I'm going to go into that purpley color. I'm going to go up one, and this is almost a red. And I'll show you, see, almost a red. And I am going to add just a little brightness right along that edge that I just made. I like that. Now I'm going to take this red and I'm going to go along one side of the stems. I might be inside the stem. I might be outside, alongside. It's all okay. And now I'm going to do the same thing. Oh, I can see where I did not bring this up high enough. It needs to go up there. Okay. Now, just a wet brush. And just kind of blur that edge. A little more water. Bring it right up there, up to the top. And here we go. Now I haven't lost track of the fact that I'm working on a new journal, Bugs and Butterflies, but this request came in and this is a project I need to work on as well. All right, now I want to blend out the red even more. So I'm just moving it around a little bit. That's good. Now, I want to create a light spot. So I'm grabbing a paper towel and I'm just going to ever so slightly lift right in the middle. All of them. And that's going to give me kind of a sunny shine. And I'm going to just bring the paint in a little. Yep. And some have more shine than the other, and that's fine. We're getting there pretty quick. What do you think? I think they're looking good. I'm going to add some orange. Now this is a pretty bright orange. And again, I'll show you. It's a light orange. These colors are very transparent, so it's not going to lay on like a gouache. It's not going to lay on like an acrylic that just covers everything up. But I'm just going to add a little orange on the lighter side of the two, on all of them. Just a little, kind of like a little sunshine. I'm going to bring it right around. And I like that. And I'm going to go back and now just kind of blur that line with plain water. And some of the paint that's underneath will lift and move, and that's good. I like that. I'm going to bring it right up. Okay. What do you think? I think they're looking cute. All right, now. And I'm not using the exact same colors as I used over here. And that's good because, you know, they're going to be in the woods and different places. And where I just see pure white, I'm just going ahead and just with whatever paint is nearby, I'm just filling in those places now. Now that it's more dry, I mean, it's far from dry, but now that it's a little more dry, I can see those bright white spaces. Okay, I believe that the underside are pretty dry. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to grab this color that I had. I'm going to grab some of this other mixture that I had from the other day. I'm going to grab this orange. I'm going to grab this purple. It's all the colors I've already used. And I'm creating a darker color, but it's still going to be harmonious to what we've got going. So I'm just grabbing all that color. And the paint that was from yesterday, yes, it's dry, but you can reconstitute it so easy. And now I'm just going to put these lines in. Now on the top ones, to me, they just dead end and we don't really see. But on the underside, which is where I'm going right now, I'm going to make it kind of like a scallop. Can you see that I'm making like a U shape at the bottom? Now, do mushrooms really do that? I honestly don't know. I just looked at some pictures of mushrooms and then just kind of did this in my head. They're fantasy, but that looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and do the same with this one. And I'm going to put that, remember that line that I had? I'm going to put that right at the top of that stem. Now this one is smaller, so I realize you can't see it quite as well. And I may or may not be going right on the lines that I drew initially, but again, they were more of a guide. This one, I'm going to put a line right across that top. It looks a little lost, but it looks less lost to me now. Okay. Now these colors are going to lighten up as they dry. We call that shifting, but that's okay. This one you really don't see as much detail, but that's all right. And again, I'm going to go ahead and demarcate that cap of the mushroom. And then we've got 3 mushrooms. I think they look fun. And as they dry, I may need to go back in and kind of, spruce them up a bit. Should I add some of these leaves? I think we've got time. I'm going into this very light green, and it's almost like a yellow green to start out with, but this is going to be autumn. Now, I made, in the first set here, the leaves are almost the same color. I may leave these just a little more green. Maybe they haven't started to turn quite so much. So I'm going to start with a stem, another stem, and maybe a stem coming through this way. I would like it if the green didn't just blur right into the mushrooms, but if it does, I am not worrying about it. And now I'm going to put in some leaves, very simple leaves, just little leaf shapes. And again, I'm thinking about someone's going to need to cut this out, fussy cut. So you don't have to have your leaves so far apart, and you could have a lot more stems kind of clumping together. But for me, that would make it awfully hard to cut out. These 2 leaves kind of joined each other, and that's fine. And the leaves do not need to be touching. We can put those little sticks or stems or whatever they are. We can put those in. Mostly, I just want to get the basic shape of some leaves on here. I'm going to make some littler ones. All right. I like this color combination. I hope you do. Let's give this guy a leaf. Little water. Keep your paints fluid. And see, I keep adding water. You don't want to be working with kind of a watercolor paste. You definitely want it to be fluid. And on this paper, it does dry fast. I like this paper. I really do. I've used it for a lot of projects. And I'm sorry if I get quiet, but it's because I'm concentrating. And did you hear that beep? That's my coffee pot telling me I'm not keeping this coffee warm anymore, girl. Now, it looks like it's all leaning this way, and it is, and that's because this one is, you know, right here. But I'm going to give it one right here. You'll still be able to cut around this. But I think it could use the balance, don't you? And you can always take some ephemera and even add more if you want. But again, I'm trying to make it manageable to cut. Now, these are fall leaves. I'm going to go into a darker orange. Now, orange and green make brown. But that's what happens to leaves, right? They go color and then they go brown. So I'm not worried if there's going to be a bit of a brown shade. And I'm just going to put a few dots on some of these leaves. Just like that. And now before they dry, I'm just going in with water. Let's get that. There we go. And I'm going to add this right to the edge. And a little bit on this side. Well, we had the beep of the coffee maker. Now we've got the air conditioning kicking on, so never a dull moment. I just picked up some more of that orange. My brush is awfully wet. There we go. Now I got to pick out which leaf is in front here. I've got a nice wet orange going on, so that's why I didn't make dots this time. When you first start out with the color, it might be a little bit thicker, but, and I don't want, like I said, I don't want it to be like paste. Now, can you see me down here? Let me, yeah, you can. I brought you in as close as I could. I want you to be able to take these digitals, and honestly, they are so much more affordable than buying ephemera. Like I said, I've never been opposed to digitals. I just only had a printer recently. So I was just making everything from scratch and cutting it out, which is fine. But I want to be able to share it. Okay, I think I've got some, oh, spoke too soon. All right, now, little blurring here. So this is just plain water, but I'm picking up green and I'm picking up orange as I go. So that's why I dunk my brush into some water again. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. You gonna try this? I hope so. Now there will be people that will say to me, you show everyone this, no one's gonna want your digitals because they can do it themselves. You know what? Good. If you've learned and you're confident, go for it. But even I like digitals because I get digitals like I got from Tina. I can't make what the kind of art that she has in her shop. My digitals are my own drawings, my own paintings. They're not photoshopped in any way. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But I think that this is a nice change from what's out there. Don't you think? I hope you do. So I'm just blurring and blurring and blurring all these lines. Some of them I'm going over more than once, because I don't want a real demarcation. I want it to be blendy, like it would be on a real leaf. Now, I realize these are quite fantasy, quite whimsical, but I still would like it to be smooth. I will be inking these, and we're not going to be inking today, but we're just getting the watercolor part done. And then I'll show you in another video when it's time for inking. I watercolor multiple sheets, and then I go back and ink multiple sheets. That's just the way I do it. So now I'm going to add some more orange to this leaf. All right, I'm liking those. Okay, now, how about just a touch of brown? And this is just a regular brown color. I'll show you this one again. We've used it once before. Right there. It's just, I would say kind of a sepia. Leans a little towards red, but red towards orange. And I just want to add a little brown to where these leaves may be starting to turn even a little more. Now I'm picking up all those colors as I go. So that's why I'm just dunking into the water and then refreshing my brush. And I'm pretty much out of that brown. So let's get some more. Now you're going to watch other watercolor artists, and they do things completely different. And that's good. I'm going to give this one a little shadowy from the mushroom. Now you may say, well, some of these you're going all the way down the sides, some of these you're only getting the top. Yep. Because I think that's kind of how nature does. They're not all in the same stage of turning color. All right. Now, going back in again, but like I said, compared to these leaves, I want these to show off just a little more green. They're just in a different place than the others. Some of them I'm going over the whole leaf, not all. Just depends. Now, how do I know what I want? That comes from practice, experimentation. And as you do your watercoloring, you're going to get people's feedback. And that helps too. That's why constructive criticism, bring it on. Does it mean I'm going to do exactly what you say? Probably not. But I'm going to take it to heart and, think about, well, if this person or that person feels that way, other people do too. That's one thing. When you get any kind of criticism, chances are if one person said it, quite a few others are thinking it. But some of it is just, this is my style. There are no rules, as we always say, and you do you. There are certain things about my art, and I really can't say that on those points people have been critical, but there's just things about my art, like, for instance, it's never going to be realistic. I'm not going for photorealism. Honestly, I think if I tried, it would just make me a nervous wreck. Can I do it? Frankly, I don't know. But I enjoy this so much, just what I'm doing, that I'm not going to be changing it up. Okay, I like those leaves. Changing brushes, and I'm grabbing this skinny brush. Maybe once it's wet, you can see it better. I'm going right into the paint, and I'm going to start with that orange. Yep. Now, this paintbrush does not hold a lot of paint, does not hold a lot of water, but it holds more than you'd think. Now, I call this a Twiggy. Some call it a liner brush. It's whatever you want to call it. And I'm going along one side of the stem, all of them. Why? For one thing, I need to make the stems a little wider because, again, someone's going to be cutting this out. I just reloaded with paint. And there, good. Now I'm going to go into one of our existing browns here, and I can mix it up with this brown. I can mix some of that orange in there, and I'm going to go in and do the other side of this stem. Just like this. And you might say, that hardly does anything. It does more than you think. And I realize right now, my stems look striped. Do I mind that? They're not going to look striped forever. There's a leaf up there that I kind of ignored, but we'll pull it into the group. One more. Okay, now I'm going back to my original brush that I started with. And now I'm just going to go right down the middle with water. And I'm picking up both colors. I'm picking up some colors from the leaves, picking up some colors from anything I touch. But if you look at these three stems compared to these two, I think you'll see that They're not nearly as stripy looking now. There. One more. Now I'm just going to take a look around. Do I have any place that I'm seeing white and I'm not? Where it looks like something's broken apart from the team. Going back to my Twiggy brush, going into that bright green, mixing it with some of this brown, and I'm going to attach the leaves now. I'll show you what I mean. And yes, it's skinny. I just grabbed another color. It doesn't matter. Now, some of the leaves are right up against the stem, which is fine. But those that are not, I don't want them just swinging out. They need to be attached. These are all attached. This one. Now, I'm going to thicken these up a little bit. Now that I've got them on there, I can make them a little wider. I can barely see this one. There we go. A little more. And I'm just grabbing any color. Okay. That's looking good. Now I'm seeing right in here an awfully striped stem. So I'm just going to add a little more color. The rest of them look pretty good to me, but that one looked just a little too stripy. So I'm going to now just go over it with plain water. And there. I'm going over all of them because I'm also wiping out where the stems have attached and blurring that. And it will not hurt to make these just a little bit thicker. All right, now, none of these are attached. So unlike this one where they were all attached, so I'm just going to add some flora, or is it fauna? Starting with brown, and I'm just dotting because I'm thinking like mulch. You know, what mushrooms come up from. This is red. And there. All right. I am liking these. Let's move this aside. Take this up. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so now what's on my mind? That's just a piece of brush paint. Hang on. There we go. Now am I back in where you can see me? Okay, so this looks like, you know, to me, a nice arrangement. I think this would be fun to cut out, and I think it would be fun to use. But I've got some spaces here. And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm just grabbing my brush, and I'm going to add a couple extra leaves. So I'm going into that lightest green color. And I know that that's pushed way up out of your way. But I think you know what I'm dealing with now with my paints. And I'm just going to add some leaves. And let's keep going. I don't want it hard to cut out, but I think that you can have too much white space too. I think these are pretty. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is this something that you would consider using in your fall journal, in your autumn journal? I hope so. I think it could be a nice addition to your artwork. Little different shape here. Everybody's printer is different. Everyone's software that they use to take these PDF files and turn them into something to print is different. And so if it's a little bit different in color, embrace it. Just embrace it. It's fine. A little leaf here. Now, when you're painting, the difference between painted and cut out, things always look smaller. So if you think you're going big, probably not. Just depends, but everything gets smaller once it's cut out. All right, I think that's a nice number of leaves. One thing that I'm noticing, I really like this kind of flora fauna thing. I'm going back into this brown, and I'm going to do it here. Even though they're all joined up, I think it looks fun. I used red. This is wetter than the original, but that's okay. Good. All right, now, these leaves. I'm going into this red. And I'm going to get some orange on the palette. And this is a real bright orange. And I don't know if yellow will really show up because it's so close to the green color. But we'll see. And what I will do to make it a little less transparent and a little bit maybe lighter is I'm going in and I'm going to add some of that white to this yellow. All right. I'm going to head in the middle of these leaves and I'm just putting some yellow in willy-nilly. I'm not spending a lot of time because mostly what I want this to be is something that's going to mix with the rest of what I put on. So if you can't see it, don't worry. I just know that as I add other colors, it's that yellow is going to mix in. All right, now I'm going in with this orange. Doubt that I have enough, but that's okay. And I'm going on one side of the yellow. And I'm just adding paint. Okay, now water, plain brush, not too wet, not too dry, and I'm going to blend this out now. I'm picking up paint, so I'm rinsing that paint off. And again, the orange kind of washed away. I'm going to add just a touch more. Water this down a little. There we go. So you're seeing the process. And I know that people want to see that. I want to see it when I see beautiful art and someone's going to show me how they did it. I want to see that process. Okay, I think I've blurred all those out pretty well. This one could use a little more. So could this one. But see, those were the first ones I did. All right, red. Now this is strong. I'm only going to add a few dots. Okay, didn't get them all because I want to get it moving. This needs more water. This leaf has more water than that one, and I like the way it's blending better. Autumn leaves. I'm getting too much paint. Red took over this one, and you know, that's okay. You know, when you go out foraging for some leaves, you got some that are totally dead and crunchy. You got some that are green. You got some that are just every combination. That's the way it goes. More water. There we go. This one really looks different, and I don't mind. This leaf that I'm working on right now, it's all reflection, so I'm just kind of struggling to see it, but that's okay. That's good. Okay, I like those fall leaves. I've got some harsh lines right in here. I'm just going to take some water and blur them out a little bit. This has some pooling, harsh lines. All right. Yeah, the red is drying with some harsh lines here and there, but that's all right. Okay, so you saw me do a grouping of mushrooms and then just filling in with some more leaves for an autumn scene. Let me know what you think in the comments. In our next video, I'll show you what just launched in my in my DigiKit. In the meantime, please consider a thumbs up. If you've not subscribed, today's the day. Yay! You can subscribe for free and join us on our adventures of watercolor and junk journal making. And this is making ephemera. Talk to you again. Bye now.